What up, AG?
Hey, Austin.
You're on mute, dude. You're on mute.
Oh, got it. There we go. My dude Mariano is here. I'm wearing his shirt and everything. How you doing, man?
Nice. How are you?
Good. So glad to be here, man.
It's not Friday, so you don't have the bow tie, but I like the T-shirt.
Every day is Friday this week. Where's the bow tie, man? Where's the bow tie? All right, we'll let it slide. All right, so we're about to jump into our evening expose, which is our fun time, right? We did our like serious stuff this afternoon, right? So we were like, talking about. I mean, the content today was insane, right? It was so good. But now we're moving into fun time. So we've got a blockchain games expose, live stream, sort of tutorial walkthrough, et cetera. So tell us what you got on tap, man. What's going on, dude?
We're thinking, so blockchain games are kind of weird and different, right? You can't do movement. You can't do randomness. You have to figure out ways around things. You have to lean into strange things. Side chains are going to be kind of a bell of the ball here until we see something more like optimism on chain. So we're just really going to play a bunch. So we're going to look at probably like the first chunk of time. We're just going to look at like quick playthroughs. We have Jiho from Axie. We have some big names here to show us their games. We're going to play games, and then we're going to kind of like sort of transition into getting like into the weeds in Dark Forest, and we're going to really look at a particular game that has kind of captured the essence of Ethereum really well, and show that off and show kind of. I'm gonna give like a here's what makes a good game, and then we're gonna go through the games and see how they fit up, and then we're gonna go into Dark Forest and see why it is such a great game. And I've got a bunch of friends here to play games with us too. It's gonna be so exciting.
It's like a game jam, man. You're gonna do like a whole review system and like go through a bunch of things and just like blow it, like pop my sprockets, man. Like let's do it. All right, so let's bring your guys in. Like who else we got?
Heck yeah, we got Unvetica, we got Super Fizz, we got Jiho. We got Michael from Skyreaver.
What's up, Michael?
We got a whole crew.
Hey, guys.
Hey, everybody.
Hey, guys.
I just realized every time I do this, my flabby arms show that I'm not doing push-ups, so I'm going to stop doing that. Hey, everyone.
Hey, good to see you. Well, hey, welcome, everybody. We're gonna get off your stage here and let you guys jam at it. So have a good time. Thanks for the contribution, and we'll see you around the Space.
Have fun, guys.
Awesome. You don't have to leave, Mariano.
Yeah,
You're one
you
of
can
us,
always
man.
Stay.
You're one of us.
I could stay.
Mariano should stay. Mariano should
please stay. Mariano, if you have to,
okay.
go, like if you
Your
need
family.
to go, but if you want to stick around and see this, it might be fun.
I can stay. I want to see this.
All right.
So we should. You know what the game is, Austin? The game is how many people can we con into this box? Like, forget the proposition. We're here to play a game, and the game is what we define.
The limit is 12, by the way, technologically.
It's 12.
Let me just clarify that right now.
Thank you, Jonathan. Backstage. So, if speaking of Jonathan, if you could throw my screen up here for a second, I want to just show this. Wow, you are quick. Jeez. Okay, let me zoom in a little bit. So I'm going to go all the way back to 2018, April 2018, and talk about what makes a blockchain game a good game. This is AVSA from a couple years ago, really talking about what makes a good game. And I think he like lays out the rubric right here for us years later even. So first of all, it's got to be a good game, right? Second of all, it's got to explore what makes blockchain unique. Third, you've got to design around limitations. You've got a public chain. You've got deterministic transactions, right? You don't have randomness. Number 4, persistent, always on world. Number 5, players own the game, the items, and the experiences. Number 6, allow anyone to design and improve the game. And number 7, embrace bots. A very hard thing to do, but that's good. And then I think at the very end, he throws in, remember, like money is kind of at the protocol here, so you can reward your players with real value, with real money. And a lot of great gamers here, I think, in the thread that we tried to get on, and there were some family emergencies there too. But okay, we can switch back from sharing the screen now. Thank you very much, Jonathan. I think probably the best place to dive in is the #1 game right now in terms of users, and that's Axie. And we have Jiho here, and it is your birthday, I believe, or yesterday was your birthday.
It's my birthday now. Yeah, thanks for the invite.
Happy birthday!
Woo!
Cheers to that.
Well,
Thanks, guys.
Thank you so
It means a
much
lot
for
to me.
being
This is my
here.
first Ethereum conference, I think. I'm one of the ones who, it's hard. I'm usually in Asia, or it can be difficult to kind of make it to these different places, and I prefer not to travel because I'm have a lot of work to do. So this is much easier for me.
So, can we get a screen share from you, and can we run through Axie Infinity and kind of look at like what the heck is Axie and how does it work and how does it play?
Yeah,
Can we ask
definitely. I'm gonna try.
All open questions. Please ask.
who has
I'm gonna
played?
try sharing my screen.
Am I muted?
No, yeah,
you're-
I have not. I've never played. I've seen a lot of people play it. Okay, how many people on this call have played Axie Infinity? No. Oh no!
I have not.
Okay, dang it.
In my
Okay,
defense, I was going to check it out, and Austin's like, it's better to have an organic first time experience, and
Yep.
so I've been very stoked to learn about it, but I haven't actually dug in yet. So this is great.
Okay, so it can get a little bit complex, right? Axie isn't just one game. Axie is an entire kind of series of games built on top of these cute pets that you're looking at, right? We kind of believe in this idea of vertical interoperability, where over time you're adding more and more utility, more and more experiences to these game assets, and that's one of the ways to kind of create value out of thin air, right? You're adding more of utility, baking more fun into these assets. But today, I guess what I'll go through is our first application or first game built on top of Axie, which is a card-based battle system. So you can see that so basically you'll get a team of 3 Axies. Each Axie has 6 different body parts. Those body parts go with 4 of those body parts go with different cards, right? So these are the cards that you can use in battle. And we were definitely inspired by CryptoKitties, right? So we have this genetic system that's on chain. We have a breeding system. I think the cool thing is that, there's a community of very intense breeders who are kind of doing theory crafting, saying, hey, I think that these cards would go well together, so I need to breed this type of Axie, right? So it's kind of like, because there's an actual genetic system and there's a meta that evolves over time, the population is actually evolving as well to kind of suit the different trends in the battle meta. So I think to talk a little bit about what makes Axie unique. So yes, there is this idea of play to earn, where the in-game resources, many of them are actually ERC20 tokens, right? So we have SLP, these love potions, which are you actually need these to breed Axies. But you can also earn things like Dai, Kyber network crystals, even Digix, real gold. We also have a governance token, which means that our players will earn part of the game just by playing. And that's actually let's see. You can see here that players can earn these Axis tokens by placing on the leaderboard, and these Axis tokens have fee sharing and governance rights. So it's really kind of it's like, I think Ethereum and these governance tokens actually create this new future where, just like in Ready Player One, developers will start to give away their games to the community. Why? Because you can save 20% of the game, give away the other 80%, and then all of a sudden you have a supercharged hive mind that's working to spread the game and is super engaged. So so basically we have both an adventure mode as well as a PvP arena mode for this game. And so I'll just show kind of basically how the battle system works in a very simple level. If you guys want to learn more about the PvP, definitely check out Axie Infinity YouTube videos. We have a bunch of content creators and making stuff like that. So basically, each card has attack or defense. Some of them cost energy, some of them don't. And obviously it's balanced based on the energy cost as well. And then you can then Go. This is kind of the battle system is actually kind of similar to kind of roguelike deck building games that you might be familiar with if you're like a card gamer. Slay the Spire, definitely a big influence. We're actually working on a V2 of the battle system. Right now, there's kind of a parallel turn structure where, especially in PvP, both sides pick cards at the same time, and then press end turn, and then see the result. It's a little bit unintuitive, so we're making it we're making it more like a back and forth, where you play your cards, they then play their cards, and you're able to respond. So it's going to be a little bit more fast-paced and intuitive.
The fast-paced, can we dive into that just a little bit? Like, this feels and looks like Web 2. What's the secret to making that work like that?
Yeah, so basically, so one of our design philosophies is, we have the ownership. Only put on chain what you need to have on chain, right? So for us, the Axie ownership is on chain, the genetic data is on chain, breeding axes is on chain, and then the secondary market is on chain. This, everything that you see here, the calculations, the game logic, this is on a server. So basically, when you earn, also if you're earning different tokens, those are stored on our server until you then submit a transaction to claim them to your Ethereum wallet. So yeah, it's I guess I would say a hybrid solution, but it's one I think that works, and I think So I think you obviously have other types of approaches, right, that are like kind of the game logic is fully on chain, and I think there is a lot of design space to be explored with that over time, especially as the tech progresses.
I saw the battle scene, but then I also saw this quests thing. Is there is the gameplay specifically about those battle scenes, or is there like a broader scope to it?
So the quests, so basically, I'm not sure if I understood the question correctly, but basically the quest system is about, in order to complete like the daily quest, which gets you 50 SLP, which is around $1. So it's kind of cool, right? Complete the daily quest of the game, earn $1. So in order to do that, you need to win 5 PvP battles. So this is like a rerun of a PvP battle. And then you also need to win 10 adventure mode battles, right? So
this is the kind of game where the core is to build your deck of characters and then PvP them. Is that?
Yeah. So that's kind of like the goal of this, right? Is like try and find the best combination of 3 axes that you can, and kind of analyze the meta, counter the meta, build up a collection, right? So it's obviously, if you can get more axes, you can have more versatile counters to the prevailing current meta. That creates that also creates demand for axes, which kind of drives the in-game economy.
Cool.
So how does the game work in terms of it? Admittedly, I haven't played firsthand, but I did read a little bit about it. And in terms of the scalability of the game in relation to side chains, it sounded like there's some development happening with Ronin. So can you kind of explain how that fits in with this game and what problem that solves?
Definitely. So we're building Ronin, which is a sidechain built specifically for blockchain games and NFTs, and we're going to use it ourselves initially. And so basically, it's actually live on mainnet. It settled the largest NFT sale of all time yesterday, which is $1.5 million for a bundle of Axie land plots. So this is just one. Right, so this is just the battle system. Land is another game mode that's also under construction. We put out a demo in December, so that's something also that if you want to check out, you can find on YouTube. And so that was called Project K. anyway, so basically, right now, land and items are on the sidechain. It's working, and as we make sure that that everything is working well, we'll then transition to basically doing an Axie migration. We'll migrate all of our Axies from Ethereum to that sidechain. There will be a bridge that allows you to use that bridge to send things back and forth between Ethereum and Ronin. I think that layer 2s and sidechains are kind of commodities. Like it's not necessarily exactly like rocket science. There's a lot of really good teams that have done great work on it. I think our approach is that we prefer to kind of handcraft a lot of our experiences for our players because we feel that we know them best. So yeah, that's our approach to scalability for now.
Can you go ahead. I'm putting you on the spot a little bit, but can you just real quick, for the newcomers, maybe not in the know to blockchains and how things work, why that's important for a side chain? Like, what's the importance of it in relation to like a main chain type of game?
Yeah, definitely. So a side chain right now, Ethereum gas fees are so high, right? It costs about $15 to list your Axie on the marketplace, or even more, right? It costs a lot of money, so that it doesn't even make sense to claim your battle rewards unless you have $50+ in unclaimed rewards, which luckily, like many of our players are able to have. But this creates a lot of friction all around. Progressing in the game, claiming your rewards, expanding your collection. And the worst part is onboarding, right? In order to start playing, you require 3 Axies. And the gas fees for that can be as high as $50 each, right? So, So basically, the sidechain allows you to kind of reduce the gas fees and potentially even to zero. But also, if you want to use, but also allows your user base to send things like the game assets and their cryptocurrency that they've earned on the sidechain back to Ethereum. So they might want to do that because Ethereum will always be the most secure blockchain, right? It has If for example, if you have an Axie that's worth $1 million, you might want to hold it on Ethereum just as like an extra safety precaution measure.
Right.
Ethereum has a lot of DeFi applications and things like that. So, okay, say you earned $1,000 playing Axie, and we don't have Uniswap on Ronin. We don't have a Uniswap fork on Ronin yet, or Aave, which is basically a decentralized bank, or MakerDAO, right? So if you want to access these DeFi protocols, especially at the beginning, you might have to send your winnings back from Ronin to Ethereum mainnet. Does that make sense? Sorry, so I'm trying to strike a balance.
No, it absolutely does. Yep. No, that's great. I appreciate that.
I'd like to slip in 2 questions. My first one is, the Ronin chain is really interesting to me, that concept of a dedicated game chain, because a lot of the things that we're doing right now are taking advantage of kind of public side chains. Dark Forest is taking advantage of the XDAI, and it's in many cases overwhelming XDAI. And so I love this proposition of a dedicated game sidechain. What?
Yeah, I would love to. I would love to learn a little bit more about how Dark Forest is overwhelming XDAI. I'm a big supporter of XDAI. I think it's great. I'm an investor through Metacartel Ventures as well. But yeah, I think that it does make sense. I think there are going to be many different NFT related sidechains, right? It's kind of like I see them as little colonies, right? They're little offshoots of Ethereum where you're going to have different populations, different colonists, but we're all united by this culture, united by this currency, and this vision. So,
I love that. No one who's interested, someone who's not interested in Axie shouldn't need to process all of the transactions. And so it's really neat we could have all of these ecosystems who kind of maintain their own side chain, and they're still checking back in with the main chain. And it's sort of, I really feel like that's a great scaling solution. And, that's kind of the thing we're all looking for right now.
So I think like the future, right, is basically these ideas of like ZK syncs or optimistic rollups, where basically you have you have another kind of small little chain. It could be, you might call it a layer 2 or a side chain. But then you have validators, all right? And then you have those validators posting some kind of Merkle proof or some kind of, basically some transaction that everything going on the side chain or the layer 2 is legitimate, right? So then you might different side chain, different solutions might, have it run every 30 minutes, every 60 minutes, right? And there's different flavors, but I think generally, that's where we're going to see more and more of.
That's neat to learn, because I know a lot of us, I spend a lot of time with ETH2, but I'm still wrapping my mind around what scaling is going to look like. And seeing this Ronin chain being specifically for Axie kind of helps me put another piece in that puzzle. So that's neat.
It's kind of like, right? It's kind of like sharding, right? Like I think that's also the idea behind sharding, right? It's just we're sharding now because we need to. We have users at this moment, so.
JC on Discord has a question, so I'm going to probably read it verbatim. My question for Axie Prez right now is Axie a game where if I join new right now, I'm on a level playing field with my opponent, or if my opponent already has mature Axies, so I have little hope?
Yeah, that's a good question. I would say that the main thing is the learning curve on figuring out which Axies go well together. But for example, with the arena, it's not like your Axies get stronger as you battle, right? They don't get and then the progression will be mainly kind of like cosmetic in the future as well. So that's to say, it's like your opponents won't destroy you because their Axies are really stronger. They might beat you because their Axies like fit better together. So there are a couple of sites like Axie.zone where you can really see the teams of the best players on the leaderboard. You can see like the top 200 players, what types of Axies they're using, what Axies go well together. You can look at stats on the meta. If you do your research and then kind of get your first team, then the next part is just figuring out how to play your cards strategically. So yeah, I guess I would say that there's definitely a learning curve. In the future, you'll get a team of free Axies that are not tokenized, that don't actually earn full rewards, but that might synergize well together, and you can actually just start playing the game, learn how to play your cards before making any economic decisions. So that might be something worth waiting for as well.
So the asset interop is something we should probably dive into a little bit. The fact that you can have this sword here and it's just an ERC 721 with some properties, and then anyone can build a game on top of that, and my crypto kitty can wield that sword, and now it makes him twice as potent when he makes sweet love to another crypto kitty. So something along those lines, right? And you also talked about how those can be off chain too. You can have your assets on chain, and then you can have all sorts of these fun kind of Web 2 games that are still database driven, kind of playing around with these games. But then when you need to settle, okay, that person lost, even our server signs it, and it goes into a contract, and someone loses the Axie that they had. But okay, that's cool. I think it's awesome, and I think we'll lean into it kind of as a thing throughout. The thing I want to dive into is how randomness doesn't work, and how breeding worked with CryptoKitties. You had basically this unverified contract. You just saw this bytecode, and you were basically hitting this bytecode, and it was breeding your cats for you, and you had no idea what was going on. I'm sure people reverse engineered that, but how did you guys deal with it?
Yeah, that's a really good question. We used Oracle Eyes.
Okay.
So Oracle Eyes, I don't even know if that still exists, but in the beginning we used Oracle Eyes for different things, like rolling Axie attributes, both in like the initial sale and also breeding. We then built our own kind of version of that. So I would say that that's definitely not fully decentralized. Right now we're like looking at Chainlink's VRF, verified.
Randomness. The R has to be randomness, doesn't it?
Yeah, verified randomness, something. Function, verifiable randomness function, I think. and we're looking at using that for certain kind of luck based or probability based things within the game.
It's funny. So one of our metrics here is a persistent world, and a concern for someone entering a persistent world. We've already heard it tonight. What's going to happen when I get in there and I'm a noob and there's all these awesome people? But it sounds like it's more like your persistent world is more like a persistent set of rules, and the game has to be played, and no one's really going to get like a huge up on someone else, and so someone can always come in and play. And
yeah, I mean, I think it's also right. It's like about, okay, World of Warcraft is a persistent world, but what happens to noobs, right? Is like they start at level 1 and they go on their own path, right? So traditionally, what happens is that PvP is typically end game material, right? Like you do PvP after you fully leveled up your character. I was, really big into WoW PvP, Diablo 2 PvP. Right, so these are all things that unless there's like very small subcultures where you're using under leveled characters to PvP, but traditionally it's an end game thing. How do you get to the end game? Like you grind monsters, so that's also another way to look at it. Within Axie, the cool thing is, you can get 3 Axies that go well together, start battling, and also it's like we have an MMR system, right? So right now you can see that. Okay, my ranking is 1234, so that means I'm number 5,447 on the leaderboard. So I'm only going to match with people who are, that's one of the good things about having a larger user base for a PvP game is, you have a better fit, right, with the MMR matching. That was another thing that we needed to bootstrap, right? That's another reason that you use play to earn. If you pay people to play your game, then you get a faster queue. And that makes growth speed up because, the faster queue makes the game more fun. So I would say like one way to explain play to earn to, very blockchain skeptical devs is, it actually makes sense to pay your first 10,000 users, right? Because you need to get that network effect going, especially in a PvP game where queue time is so crucial, right? When we first started, like the queue times were 3 to 5 minutes. Now they're, 3 to 5 seconds. That makes a huge difference on the player experience.
I think we're losing Mariano here. Good night, Mariano.
Yeah, have a great call. Yeah, it's almost 10 p.m. here, but this is incredibly interesting. So I'll be sure to catch the recording. So
glad you can stick with us a minute.
Happy ETHDenver.
Yeah. Thank you, Barney.
Have a great night. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
If you guys are
one thing that you mentioned,
we can also watch. See that I get a match basically immediately. This is a real person.
This is a live game.
Yeah, this is a live game. This is another person. All right, so basically, I have a plan.
Dunk on
I'm
him.
gonna try and take out their tank. Let's see.
So what's going through your head here? What numbers are you looking at? What's interesting? I see like there's health for everybody. I see that they all kind of have a different kind of signal by their number.
Yeah, so basically, typically what happens is you will optimize for HP, which is this number here, as well as defense, right, so which is this, on your first Axie, right? Because Axies always attack the first one. So this is their tank, so I'm trying to take that down. There's also like a class advantage system, kind of like similar to Pokemon, where, water is strong against fire. Beasts are strong against plant. Plant are strong against aquatic and bird. So yeah, and there's 6 different classes. So that's one thing that is one of the things to kind of memorize and get used to. So here, I'm just gonna defend and see what happens. He is also defending, right? So this is one of the weird things about the current battle system is you have to kind of try and anticipate what the other person is gonna do, and that can. It makes it really fun, kind of like, poker in some way, where you're both like trying to speculate what the other person has. But some people don't like that kind of game, and it makes it kind of difficult. It adds even another further layer of complexity on top. So that's why we're basically right now, right? So there's a parallel turn structure. We're both picking our cards, and then we'll both see what the other person did. We're going to be migrating or transitioning away from that. So yeah, so basically, yeah, this is my energy, right? So I can only play this amount of energy in a turn. I get 3 more energy. I get 3 more cards each turn. And so, yeah, sometimes it makes sense to like try and save energy. Sometimes it makes sense to like go all out. It's also, you're trying to think what the other person is going to do. Are they going to go all out? If they're going to go all out, I might try and defend. You know, so it's kind of like there are a bunch of mind games, I guess, to be played. Some of them are fun, and some of them make the game a little bit unnecessarily complicated. Is kind of our diagnosis right now.
Wonderful. Hey, cheers, Unvetica.
There we go. Someone's drinking. I mean, this is like a thing, right? Is this an event? This is ETHDenver.
I wanted a beer so bad, but I forgot when we did our grocery order, and I was going to be like all the cool kids. But here I am with my water.
I'm on water too.
There we go. Got team water. I love it.
I would be so much more fun. I'm so much brighter when I'm drinking.
So I think a lot of the randomness and the on-chainness you kind of got around by doing this sort of assets on-chain, game off-chain kind of stuff. So there's not as much of that to kind of lean into here. Once your assets are on-chain and you can do all sorts of fun stuff with some kind of central server and still send like this guy lost this Axie, it definitely opens up and there's a lot of neat stuff to do. So I feel like there's less to dive into in terms of the on-chain stuff. I don't know. Any closing questions here, you guys? For
yeah, Axie, I mean, so one thing that I'll say, right, is I think it makes sense to try and optimize for decentralization in the right areas, right? So it doesn't matter if every aspect of the game logic is on chain if some entity owns 100% of the game, right? So that's also the data might be very open and decentralized, but the ownership structure of the game is very centralized, right? So what we're trying to do is optimize for a very decentralized ownership structure of the game, right? Like a game that is owned by the community, and we're less about making sure that all the game logic actually goes on chain. Is that helpful framing? Yeah.
Yep. Did you win? You're close though, right?
I think I might win. I pulled an interesting thing where I slowed him. I did this debuff, and so turn order is kind of important, and so I slowed him, which made it so that now I'm going to attack first in the next turn. So I might be. I think I'm going to win. Let's see.
The interesting, fun little emergent things about what makes a game fun. Like you cleverly sort of outcrafted him, knowing what was going to happen and played it well. And that's always so much fun as a player. Right?
Nice.
Oh no! Did you get him? You got him?
Yeah, I got him.
What's his name? Can we talk some shit to whoever that guy? You just got beat by the maker of the game, jabroni.
Yeah. people always find it funny, and they think that someone is like trying to scam people when they play against me. They're like, oh, someone is pretending to be you. I was like, no, that's actually me.
So yeah, I always feel like that's
see that I won these
celebrities trying to order pizza.
Yeah, I won these. Yeah. I love these. I won these love potions, and yeah, there's liquidity for these on Uniswap, Binance. So yeah, it's good stuff. Each one of these is around 3 cents, or let's say 2.5 cents. It's like I won 15 cents after winning that game.
Amazing, awesome! Thank you so much for showing us this. This is the best demo we could have gotten. I loved it. Any closing questions, you guys? And Gio, you're welcome to just stay here. And I'm not even pronouncing your name right, probably. You're welcome to stay here. Perfect. I got it? Okay. We're just going to keep gaming and hanging out. I think there may be like a POAP thing coming up.
Yeah, I definitely want to learn more about Dark Forest because, to be honest, like I've been hearing a lot of really smart people get into it. But I have a million things to do.
We are not really
freaking rabbit hole. It stole my whole January. I was worthless because of this damn game. Sorry.
No, it's fair.
But I only came for the POAP. So, Michael, tell me how to get a POAP.
Yes. Okay, right. So, we all know about, I hope, if you don't know about POAP, They're all over the place on this ETHDenver. If you check out the virtual world, they're all over the place. There's a scavenger hunt. But for this event specifically, the eStaker crew is giving away a PO-op for viewers of the live stream. If you aren't already part of the eStaker Discord, you can join us at invite.gg/ETHstaker. You'll find the PO-op channel, and pinned to that channel are all the instructions on how to interact with the PO-op bot. You'll need a secret key phrase, and today's key phrase, appropriately enough, Dark Forest. So you'll DM the PO-op bot directly, direct message to the PO-op bot with the keyword phrase Dark Forest.
Space.
Capitalization.
All space or no space?
Space, 2 words. Capitalization does not matter. Uh-oh. What's
I
up,
just got
Liz?
X. I just did DARK space FOREST and got a X.
Ooh, nice Jonathan with the overlay.
Let me check it out real quick. First,
I accidentally
pick up
messaged the
day.
test bot one time,
And on deck
like
is
that.
Michael. He's about to prepare us some Skyweaver gaming too. So we're gonna play a similar game and talk about some similar limitations, right? And I think you guys have leaned into Matic. It's funny, everyone here kind of has a different flavor, and I think we'll see Matic with the Skyweaver guys.
Matic is currently my favorite testnet, or not? I'm sorry, my favorite sidechain. So
It is a test net. Matic and XDAI, I keep saying this. These sidechains are test nets. They're test nets with value. Yes.
No.
Yes.
It's any valuable chain is that's like saying Gurley is a main chain. Like it's a valuable chain.
If the security is good enough on Gorley for me to mint a token and buy and sell it with people, then it's good enough, right?
Okay. So at any rate, Matic today, especially with a Polygon announcement, is my favorite. It is surpassing my love for XDAI today.
Wow,
momentarily.
There he is. Yeah, that's okay. That's what we're here for. These it's all about what gets the job done, right?
Totally.
I think, are we? Should we dive into Skyweaver? Should we figure out the PO-app?
Yes,
as we go? What do you guys
Skyweaver.
think?
You guys stall for time, and I will fix the PO-op.
Okay, awesome.
I just have a quick question. Is Dark Forest inspired by the name, by the Three Body Problem trilogy?
It sure is.
Sick. I read that book last year, that trilogy, and it's the most mind-blowing trilogy I've ever read. I adore it.
Would you? Okay, after your presentation, because I haven't read the books, will you summarize that link just a little bit? Because I'm curious about it. But that doesn't mean I'm actually going to read the book. I'm just curious.
Okay, yeah. Cool, that's cool, man. Yeah. All right, so I'll dive into Skyweaver now. I'll share my screen here. Cool. So I'm just going to jump right into a match just to show you guys the gameplay. And in case you don't know, Skyreaver, it's a free-to-play browser-based cross-platform card game, so you can play it on mobile, laptop, where you can own, trade, and gift your cards. So it's deeply strategic, like Magic the Gathering, while being easy to learn, more like Hearthstone. And the player-owned marketplace and economy lets you win tradable cards on your journey to becoming a legendary Skyreaver. So hopefully the frame rate's not too bad. I have a few applications running here. But yeah, at the start, I'll be presented with a mulligan screen. And I'm just going to choose 4 cards to begin my deck with. So I'm going to choose Swamp Walker, Impale, Gus, and Vanessa. And, you know, I'm sure all you guys have played card games before, or maybe you haven't, but for anyone who hasn't, the goal of the game is to bring my enemy's hero, which is this bot creature up here, down to 0. This is a PvP game, so you do play other humans, but I'm just playing a bot because I don't anticipate going through the whole match. And yeah, so each and every one of these cards in Skyreaver, there are 500 unique cards. each with unique mechanics and special abilities. And up in the top left, there's a mana cost. So Gus, he costs 2 to play. You can see over in the bottom left, I have 2 mana, which means that I am going to deploy Gus onto the field. And then I can also play Songbird. And yeah, he has the ability Banner. So when he's on the field, my hero actually gains +1 power. And I'm going to end my turn because I don't have anything else to do at the moment.
And again, we're not waiting for block times here. You guys are going back and forth. Things feel very immediate.
Yeah.
Are you doing extra tricks on top of just having the side chain, or is there more there? Or is it basically like, thank you, side chain, for being so fast?
No, so it's actually card ownership that's on chain, whereas the gameplay itself isn't. So similar to Axie, just putting what needs to be on chain, and then leaving everything else off. So yeah, I think like this gives you guys sort of a sense for the gameplay itself. There's obviously like tons of strategy. You can combine different cards to defeat your opponents. Over here, you can look into your deck. You don't know the order that your cards are going to be distributed to you, but it allows you to strategize. And then over here, you can like take a peek into your graveyard. These are cards I've played already. It's really cool. Skyreaver is a singleton game, which means you can only have 1 copy of each card in your deck. This is different than games like Hearthstone, where you can have and Magic, where you can have multiple copies, and it just adds for like more dynamic gameplay. And actually, something that I'll show you guys too is that in Skyreaver, a lot of cards, they come with attached spells or enchants. We'll see if any pop up here. Let's see. Okay, so here's one. So this Swamp Walker unit that I'm playing into the field, it has this attached spell called Foul Stench. And the spells are one-time use. So it just adds more dynamic to the game. And of course, you can own and trade these different cards. So I'm gonna concede this match to just show you more of the ecosystem.
Jiho beats a noob, and you just concede to a bot? Oh.
I did, yeah, man. I did. Because it's going to take like 10 minutes, and I want to show you guys around the rest of Sky. So in Skyreaver, so you can play the game entirely for free, and all 500 base cards can be unlocked through gameplay, through free play, simply by leveling up and earning XP. And this allows you to collect and construct decks. But these base cards, they're non-tradable items. So they essentially expand your gameplay abilities. And in Skyreaver, there are 2 different main game types. So there's Discovery and Constructed. Discovery, you play with a randomized deck. And then Constructed is a mode where you play with a deck that you've built and you've strategized. And then, so I mentioned there's the free base cards, but we also have, so by competing in the game and actually ascending the ranks on the worldwide leaderboard, and I'll give you guys a glimpse of it, the top players on our leaderboard, they'll actually be rewarded with silver cards. And what silver cards are tradable versions of the base cards with cosmetic enhancement. So they don't provide you any gameplay advantage, but they are tradable. And then built into Skyreaver, we actually have this peer-to-peer marketplace, decentralized marketplace. We created something called the Nifty swap protocol, largely inspired by Uniswap, and it's an automated market maker to make it buying and selling super easy for players. And I can go on here, and these are all cards I own, and I'm toggling by just looking at my silver cards. So I can go ahead and like this card, Hydrate. If I want, I can click and see, deeper stats on it and like what decks people are playing with it in. Just some more meta about the card itself. And then I can also just look at these cards. So let's say Hydrate. I'm just going to add this to my sell order. And I'm going to add Cookbook to my sell order as well. And then I can go down here, review order. And if I had more copies of these cards, I could actually like toggle the quantity and then just go ahead and confirm sell. Right now, you see a test currency that we're using, but this will soon be DAI. For DAI just eliminates volatility for new users, and it's just easier to understand than if they were needing to spend ETH in the game. And yeah, similarly, I can go and buy cards on the market, and yeah, build decks, collect decks, any of the silver cards I can play with, trade or sell. And then, so beyond the silver cards, we also have a game mode that we'll soon be introducing called Conquest. And Conquest, you can enter with either 1 silver card or 1 DAI. And if you lose your first match, you lose your stake. But if you win your first match, you win 1 silver card. If you win 2 matches, you win 2 silver cards. And if you win all 3 matches in a Conquest, you win 1 silver card and 1 limited supply gold card. And gold cards, again, they're same mechanically as a silver or a base, but they're rarer and they're cosmetically enhanced as well. And again, with these, you can play with them, you can put them in your deck, you can trade them, or you can sell them. And so what's super interesting about Skyreaver, or one of the many things, is that all cards are generated by players through gameplay. And in fact, Horizon isn't selling any cards. So they're all generated through gameplay. The silvers are generated through ranking highly on the leaderboard, and then also through Conquest, and then golds are only generated via Conquest. Yeah, so that's kind of like an overview of the whole thing. It's all like down here we have this wallet built in. This is something we built earlier on, but we'll soon be releasing Sequence. And Sequence is the infrastructure, platform, and user-friendly smart wallet that we've built at Horizon. It provides a seamless user and developer experience for Ethereum, really allowing any web application to integrate with blockchain in a few lines of code. So that's all I'll say about Sequence for now, because we haven't released all the info about it, but stay tuned for that. And it's what powers Skyreaver and makes it all possible. And yeah, I mean, there's all the artworks original, obviously, all the sound effects, everything. So yeah, that's like an overview of what we're doing at Horizon.
How about bots? So I'm going through my list. Being a good game, it's a good game, right? You've checked off the first thing. Going through looking about what makes blockchain special. That a lot of this is just ownership on blockchain, game on the server kind of stuff. But how do you deal with bots? Have you had bots in here? Is it profitable to be a bot and play this game? How does that work?
Yeah, so for context, we're still in an invite-only private beta. And we're gearing up to go on, well, we're already on Matic's mainnet, but we're using fake contracts and stuff. But so we'll be essentially on mainnet, as you might traditionally say, in the coming months. And in terms of bots, the way we've done it with our economy design, there certainly could be bots that play, but in order to rank highly on the leaderboard, you have to be fairly skilled. And similarly in Conquest, you have to stake something to compete, right? So it's, if you're a bot and you want to stake silver cards, and then if you lose, you're out. I mean, that's, you could program your bot to do that, but it's not as much of a risk of an exploit on our end. So that's, it's through the economy design that we're, treating the bot situation.
Awesome.
So it sounds like, if I'm following correctly here, I apologize. I've been sort of half in and half out trying to fix this pop issue, but it sounds like the way the gameplay is sort of designed here is that with how you delineate between silver and gold is that with the silver cards, it allows you to have a much more even playing field for newcomers, kind of in relation to the question that was first asked with Axie Infinity, right? So there isn't this, especially for the OGs of the game that have been here forever, if someone were to just come in day one, they're not at this huge disadvantage, right?
Totally. Yeah, exactly. Because you could unlock all the base cards through gameplay, and that'll take you a bit of time and some skill. But if you want to, get on a leveler playing field, you can buy silver cards from other players selling them on the market. Or you could buy the gold cards too. They would just be likely more expensive.
And for the most part, the gold cards, it's really more of a, not to, dismiss it to its simplest form, but it's more of a collector's thing. It's not like it's going to help you in the game.
It's a flex.
Correct.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, it's a flex. Yeah, it's like it's a rare item that you could have only won through conquest, or you had to buy it from another player, but doesn't give you any gameplay advantage. And that's actually one of our design goals, is like ensuring that it's not pay to win and making the gameplay really accessible so that anyone with skill can excel on the leaderboards and excel in terms of winning rewards.
Now, do you do, this really goes to both you, Michael, and Axie over here, is that, do you guys do like community-led tournaments? Is it strictly just like traditional gameplay?
Yeah, so we actually, like, even in our private beta, we've had, I think, 7 or 8 community-led tournaments, some with, actually a number of them with third-party sponsorship, the group Community Gaming. Really cool platform that they've built for payouts with respect to like paying out crypto to players' wallets, etc. And yeah, so we've had 7 or 8 of those, and we fully support those, and are always excited to see the community organize themselves that way.
Right, absolutely. That's awesome.
Yeah, we've definitely seen. I think that blockchain esports, or competitive gaming, I think goes really well. You also have, I think what's important, what's interesting is you have all these billion-dollar protocols, right? And then we're just like, these small little applications, kind of that are, maybe, not in the spotlight of Ethereum often, right? But one way, right, is like, those billion-dollar protocols, the Maker Foundation, right? Kyber, a lot of these projects, they're always looking for really strong communities to engage with. So if you can, build up a strong game for your community, I think these DeFi protocols will look at you as a distribution channel for their token, right? So it's how you can get some DAI for tournaments, right? We, I think we've given out, over 20,000 DAI for tournaments. There are a bunch of communities with social tokens. So yeah, I think that's it's really a good fit.
Totally.
That's awesome. So just a real quick update here for those waiting on the POAP. We're going to do a slight audible here. And what we're going to do is I'm going to ask those that are watching the live stream, just make any comment at all in the comment section. And what you'll do is you'll go to the ETHStaker website at ethstaker.cc/ETHDenver. And just put the username that you submitted your comment with and your ETH wallet address, and we'll automatically deposit a event POAP for you. That is ethstaker.cc/ETHDenver.
And hopefully there are less than 1,000 people if we're going to manually deliver.
That's what I say about all my live streams.
Yeah. Mono Mesa from the Bright ID program wanted to be sure that he got his, and Bright ID is something that we are a big fan of. So check out Bright ID, and let's get Mono Mesa a POAP.
Awesome.
Noted.
Thank you, Michael and Jiho, for showing us these games. I think that we should do a quick look at my screen here. Let me move this over here before Jonathan is so quick to pull it up. I have just DApp Radar. I feel like there are so many other games that we should point out. We should just say that there are games out there. And I think another little key thing here is that games kind of started with, hey, CryptoKitties figured out NFTs, so we're going to make this like enter through the gift shop kind of experience where you basically landed on the page and you bought these NFTs, and hopefully that funds the team to build something. But it wasn't as cool as we're going to get a bunch of comments as I was going to have it. It wasn't as cool as a real game. And so I just want to scroll through just like looking at these blockchain games. There's a ton more that are coming out that you should keep an eye on. We like, disclaimer, we're not gamers. We're not geniuses. We're just trying this stuff out. We're blockchain builders, but just kind of like looking through some of these other, the Sandbox is one that I'm kind of excited about coming out. It looks really neat. There's a ton of other games here. Jump on. Neon District is beautiful looking, right? The aesthetic. So just check out a lot of other games. We're certainly not giving you the full exact picture. We're trying to explore what makes blockchain games unique, and we're lucky enough to have these great presenters here helping us out. And I think we're about to dive into about to dive into Dark Forest, but I wanted to look at this. So my buddy, let me pull up Paul. My buddy Paul Gotti, he's working on, I think it's like Game.js. He's working on a library to make games. But I was on a live stream with him, and we were talking about what made these collectibles, what made these games so special. And you probably can't see this, but he has this really cool, and it's a lot more than you think. Like games mean a lot more. They mean a lot to people. And if we get in here that like fulfilling needs, help solving problems, overcoming challenges, but it gets into like, you know, good aesthetic pleasures and souvenirs, right? And evoking daydreams and addressing insecurities. Isn't that beautiful? Evoking daydreams and addressing insecurities.
I love that. That is like poetry.
That's what games do,
This is
right?
great.
That's there's a lot here to like why these games are so important and why these collectibles. When someone says like, why do you own an NFT? Why this? Look at this dope NFT, by the way. It's like a 3D rendering of like a room, and there's a light outside of it, and the light's like rotating around the room. Yeah, I'll buy that for 1 ETH. Okay, so let's see. Exchange of strength. There's so much good stuff here. I just wanted to kind of like point out that like we're not just screwing around here, right? There's a lot of heart in this, and there's a lot of interesting psychology that goes into like what makes a good game. And thank you, Paul, for surfacing that to me. But I think we're probably about ready to break into some good old-fashioned Dark Forest action. And we can quit sharing my screen. I don't think I'm going to be the guy. I don't know who is. I think that's why we have Superfizz here, right?
Yeah, well,
not just for good looks.
I want to begin by saying thank you to Unvetica and Brunito and DeFi Dude for helping us get the POAP squared away. It took an army, but now we do have the POAP bot working. I just claimed mine, and that's really all that matters. The correct claim code is it The Dark Forest, all one word, by messaging that bot. Michael, do you need to give better instructions than I give? Because I jacked
Right,
it up.
so we can, either will work, right? So the easiest, the URL to join the eStaker Discord is invite.gg/ETHStaker. You'll join the POAP channel, and all the instructions to interact with the POAP bot are in there. And what was the keyword?
The Dark Forest, all one word.
The Dark Forest, all one word. Yep.
Wait, you added a "the" to it?
Yes, well, Bernito added a B, but it works. The Dark Forest, all one word.
Got it.
I mean, I've got mine, so I mean, we can shut the bot down now. We're good. Scarcity, right?
Okay, who's doing an intro?
Dark Forest.
So, you got it.
Yeah. So let me begin by saying I'm not a gamer. So any of you who know me, like, I am obsessed with ETH2. I am the guy who spends all day long begging people to do client diversity, to use, like Nimbus and Teku instead of using Prism if you're a staker. And I'm begging you, don't stake with an exchange because it's bad for decentralization. Don't use pools yet because they're likely to disappear with your funds or mismanage them or get slashed. So solo staking, wait until pools are mature. Give them till June and then, stake with a pool. So that's who I am. I gave you everything about Superfizz in 30 seconds. I'm not a gamer. I don't really. So I have spent years looking for a game that would steal my mind and just give me something to chew on at night. And nothing has really done that. So I guess I don't know. I played with the third Dark Forest beta and it was okay. It was great. But the fifth beta changed absolutely. Sorry, it's an alpha, I believe. The fifth Dark Forest version that we're playing with right now changed all the rules for me. And it's because of one of those things that Austin showed on that original slide. And that was the extensibility thing, the plugins. So let me think about how to do this.
I think you missaid addiction, the addictions.
Yeah.
Not plugins.
So
yeah.
all of January, I try to spend time on Reddit supporting people in ETHStaker and on the Discord, and I do this really well-produced but terribly created YouTube series called State of the Steak. Michael is my producer. I'm the content, and it's I didn't do that in January. I didn't care. I had a family, but I didn't really speak to them in January because all I could do was Dark Forest. It's one of those things where I sit down at 9 o'clock. I'm so jealous. I wanted Dos Equis Amber. I sit down at 9 o'clock and I'm going to play Dark Forest for 30 minutes. And then it's 3 a.m. and I'm like, I really have to stop. If I don't get 2 hours of sleep now, I'm not going to make it through the day tomorrow. But let me just do one more thing. Yeah, so it is that kind of game for me. And I will tell you that Unvetica, is it your Twitter is Unvetica or Unvetica.eth? It's just Unvetica. Okay. Yep. So everyone in the world can DM Unvetica on Twitter right now. He has four Dark Forest keys to give away.
Let's give more away. We'll hit you up.
You have more.
Never had so much power.
Yeah. So what I'd like to do, can I share? I haven't tried screen sharing. I want to make sure I share the right one.
Super Fizz, you are so behind the curve. We've all been screen sharing. Jonathan's got us. My screen is still shared.
Open it up already.
Dark Forest. Welcome to
Jonathan, are you having a beer out there?
You bet your butt.
Okay. Before I actually demo Dark Forest, I want to show you where I'm starting. I'm starting with a brand new, raw, fresh Chrome browser. I don't have MetaMask, and I'm going to go to zkga.me. And
I love that. Starting fresh.
And the thing I want to demonstrate here is most things that I interact with require MetaMask, and I am a huge MetaMask fan. But some guy, and I don't think any of us knows who he is, but he developed this browser integration where you can host a wallet in the browser and interact directly with the chain. And it's seamless. You okay, Austin? Yeah. So Austin, yes. So it's how old is the burner wallet?
ETHDenver 2018. We debuted the burner wallet. We bought 3,000 meals at food trucks with it, with everybody.
Yeah, I remember that. I wasn't there, but I remember watching and installing and trying to get all of my friends to install burner wallets on their phones. And I'm like, you got to back this up. You don't lose it. And I'm sure they lost it. But that's how friends work, right?
I had a lot of burner wallets that I exchanged funds on Uniswap with, and that worked out.
Ooh. Well, and you notice when gas gets high, like I love that whole transition. I love the stepwise transition on the interface. Sorry, but this is about Dark Forest.
Look at Dylan, right? Is like number one, won the first. That's the creator of Figma. We're not effing around here. We got some galaxy brains that we're playing again. You have to understand field of competitors is totally crazy smart.
So I'm going to import a private key here because it already has a couple die in it, X die in it. If you begin the game, they're going to, with a fresh key, I think they're going to give you about a nickel of X die.
Superfizz, can you zoom in there so we can see your text?
Yeah. Okay. I need to modify that key because it requires OX, and then I will zoom in. All right. So great. So I'm importing an account, and you have to have a whitelist key right now to play the game.
And I've heard that they're like 30% of the way through their whitelist and breaking X die. Like the traffic is crazy.
Okay, so the two pieces of information that are required are well, you don't have to create a wallet; it will create one for you. But as I said, I imported one to have because I want to demo some stuff. 5 cents, a nickel of X die, is enough to play this game all night long. If you are familiar with HoneySwap, if you're not familiar with HoneySwap, you should go check out the Honey faucet on the XDie network. And what you're going to get from that is a faucet every 48 hours that's going to give you about 12 cents of this stuff called honey that you can then honey swap into XDAI, and that's 6 cents in XDAI a day to play as much Dark Forest as you can play. That's so much better than swapping from mainnet into XDAI, because then you're looking at anywhere between like $8 and $30 in fees. Just use HoneySwap. And I mentioned Bright ID earlier. We're gonna have to try this again. I promise this does work.
Oh no! Do we need to send a different white key? I can send you a different whitelist if we need.
Sometimes I've noticed before they don't pick up the first time. If this is a problem, we'll try a different one. But I'm happy to. I'm not stressed about it. We'll be fine. We're gonna generate a new import key.
So while this is happening, this could be a good segue for this. So can we like zoom out, and we've had a good spectrum of like side chains, layer 2, like for again those just entering off chain, those entering the whole ecosystem. What does that really mean though, right? So what do we get that we're offloading processes from Ethereum, but what are the differences? So if I'm new, what's the difference between a side chain and a roll up and some of these other layer 2 solutions?
I think really security concerns is where we start with there, right? Like what is the consensus model of each chain, and how much proof of work protects it, if it is proof of work, or like what is the hash rate of Bitcoin? And that is the security, right? That is all these people trying to mine this block at the same time. Now, when we pull back from that a little bit, we take Ethereum, currently proof of work. We have a consensus mechanism. It's working really well, but it's very expensive to make that transaction on Ethereum, right? What these side chains do is they take this EVM compatibility. So you can basically just take the satellite that you were deploying to a test net, point it at mainnet and deploy, or point it at a side chain, and it's going to be the exact same thing to you as a builder. But as the new person coming in, they're going to see all your smart contracts. They're going to interact with it, but it's going to be fast. It's going to be cheap. It's going to be all of the things that sort of a Web 2 game needs to feel like, but it's going to be EVM compatible. So eventually when we do get the scalability working, all of this can just go to a shard somewhere that isn't as expensive, right? That probably doesn't quite answer it, but let's say that's the first answer. Maybe like lean into it a little bit if you have more questions.
So it's not like if I'm regardless of what I'm interacting with, whether it's a game or a DeFi app or whatever it is, with all these different solutions that are helping the application scale out and add functionality, whether that be speed, security, whatever that may be, me as the user, I don't necessarily have to keep track of these threads, right? It's not like I have to know what the underpinnings of it's making all these different hops in the back end, right? It just, all I need to know is that it's helping me process these things cheaper, in different security levels, and faster, right?
Yep, exactly. You as the user, I mean, we saw earlier, both Skyweaver and Axie Infinity just feel so Web 2. They feel so good. They feel so, they're so crisp and beautiful and clean and fast, and that's what users expect, right? And that's just not how mainnet Ethereum works right now. So I think that what you're talking about is we have to fill something in to give them that experience that they're expecting, or they're going to be completely out. And something weird here about Dark Forest, as you see from the screen, they particularly leaned into the weirdness. They leaned into the ASCII. They tried to make it like kind of complicated looking and kind of nerdy looking and kind of console looking. And you know, the waitlist is around the block.
It definitely is.
I believe that I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I believe I'm sharing the right screen. I'm doing from a drop-down select. I was. Let me check that one more time.
Should I be trying to get?
No, so I mean, to be honest, I'm not. No, I have another screen up. What I wanted to show was the beginning dialogue. Because
and how many keys have you already exposed?
2. The 1 and 5 I exposed. Right now, I am attempting to share my Dark Forest screen. I'm using the shared dialogue on this page. So if I think that maybe Justin needs to turn on my screen share?
Jonathan.
I'm sorry.
I don't
There
see
is a
it
Just
actually, Superfizz.
Oh, you don't see that I'm sharing it.
No.
I'm trying. It said that it was shared.
And then
I have
break the fourth
just
wall again. Austin, can you send me the remaining keys to give away? Because my Twitter is ready to reply.
Wait, how does that break the fourth wall? The fourth wall would be like when someone talks to the audience.
It's what I went with. It's what I went with.
It'd be more like, who do we know that's watching? Someone that we know it's watching. It'd be like me looking at it. Sure. That's breaking the fourth wall.
I just broke the facade, right? Like I'm no longer presenting.
Like a
now I'm just
second
like
or third
recording.
wall.
Yeah,
Yeah.
sure.
I'm processing a key. Maybe we can wait. What was the question? I'm sorry. I got so mixed up with the fourth wall.
So I think we announced that we were going to give away keys on the
I got
Twitter.
keys.
If they DM me, I just need those keys real quick. I lost where we put those.
All right. So I'm going to send you 4, and I'm going to have 4, and split your DMs between me and Unvetica, and we will send you the first 4. Oh, here we go.
Okay.
Yes.
All
Okay.
right.
So this is an advanced screen.
Yeah,
I'm
this
so
is not
excited.
what I intended to show. I really wanted to show the beginning. And if someone wants to mount a beginner screen, that would be very fun. So one of the things, and I've been focused on this for a few minutes. I didn't have an opportunity to really dive in or didn't pay too much attention to the conversation. Dark Forest is not as fast-paced as the other games that were demoed tonight. It is much more of a strategy game. And one of the first things you'll see when you zoom out, it's this giant hat. And so hats, I want to do this first because hats are really an important thing. Hats are an opportunity for you to send value to the creators of the game. And so when you get in the game, I know this is your first view, but let me show you how easy it is to buy a hat for that planet. And with this, 1 die goes to the developers. I think it's a great way to support them. We talked about the Burner Wallet. It's a browser integrated wallet, and it's something that Austin is totally responsible for. Are you totally responsible for it?
Infamous.
Sorry? Infamous for. And so, well, it's funny you say infamous because it is what is commonly referred to as a potential browser vulnerability vector. But for small value things like this kind of game, it's absolutely perfect. So, and I mean, to say that it's a potential vulnerability vector, it hasn't been compromised. It's just maybe not best practice for a whole lot of value. So if I would not, really keep a key with $500 in this, but for $20 to play Dark Forest, it's absolutely a great deal. So again, buying hats is the way if you want to get in here and support the developers. There is no real, at this moment, there is no in-game economy where you are spending a bunch of money to buy different assets. The gameplay is essentially free. The only cost you're paying is to use the XDAI network, and those transactions are fractions of a penny. So like I said, if you get 6 cents from the Honey Swap faucet, then that 6 cents is going to get you a day of play at least.
Now, are those hats NFTs?
No, the hats are really just donations. You don't keep them. It's based on the design of the game. I think it's possible that they could actually be NFTs, but I'm not inherently aware that they are.
Okay.
What I really want to do, I want to zoom in on a planet that you might start the game from.
There we go. Zoom in and pretend like we're brand new. I'm actually talking to Brian Gu, one of the creators, and he's kicking one of the servers that lets the keys. It's basically the whitelist server. So maybe we'll get in anyways.
Okay. Yeah. So when you start the game, you're going to see something like this. And the first time I fired this up, I was like, unimpressed. And it really took me a long time to even understand zooming out. I would see what looks like this massive planet, and I'm like, oh, wow, I could never take this planet. What you're going to do from a planet that you own is send energy. sending energy is one of the main gameplay mechanics for this game. And so all of my planets are going to be surrounded in a white halo. So let me find one of my planets. Again, zooming out. I love to say zoom out about life and about everything. But when you zoom out, you see how much there really is to offer. And so when you start and you see this tiny planet, and then you might start dragging your mouse to see more of the world, and you think you're making a lot of progress, but then you zoom out to see the entire world and realize that what you were looking at was really just a tiny, tiny drop in the bucket. And so the universe is this sphere that is controlled by a contract that expands with the number of new users. When you begin, you don't really see a lot of the world. You need to use this neat version of a miner to
mine.
I
actually got one to work.
Hey.
Nice.
Do you want to share and we can talk about it, or should I?
Let's see if it comes up. So, okay. Yeah, I mean, maybe I've got it up on my screen here if Jonathan wants to bring it in. Oh, yeah, we're generating planet IDs. It's happening. Let's see.
The initial gameplay of this definitely reminds me of, I don't know if any of you have remember this game. It used to be an early iOS game. It was called Osmos. Osmos. And I love the sense of scale that this game sort of brings in parallel, where you think you're really huge, and then all of a sudden you start to discover your universe. This is definitely kind of runs a parallel in that sense, where you realize just how insignificant you are in relation to the rest of the game and how expansive this is.
Michael is telling us he needs to bounce in just a minute. Michael, it was absolutely great having you. We loved learning more about Skyreaver.
Yeah, thanks for having me, guys. It was really a pleasure chatting with you, and hopefully everyone in the audience enjoyed. For anyone interested, they can just go to skyreaver.net and sign up for the waitlist. And we'll be going on to mainnet pretty soon.
Awesome.
Great.
Thanks again,
Take
Michael.
Care.
Thanks, guys. Take care.
So now it's just 3 of us.
Just the
and
3.
Only 2 of us have beer.
Oh. I'm going on like 3 years. Well, I've had a beer.
Here we go. We're getting planet IDs.
So this is the load screen.
Yep, we're ready, right? I press enter.
Yep.
Let's find a home planet. Find a home planet. Let's go.
I dove in really quickly, and I really want to share this with new people for the first time. The universe is huge, but when you begin, you only see a tiny, tiny portion of that universe. One of the things I love about it is there's the extensibility. The extensibility is what got me hooked, because the game starts with a browser miner, and with the browser miner, you can expose. I call it mining. You can mine views of the Earth, or views of the universe, that are controlled by ZK Snarks, and they're kind of like, if you imagine. Well,
Superfizz's explanation of ZK.
Wait.
I was ready for this one. I'm like, ooh, tell me.
I can explain anything. I may not be bright, but I can definitely explain anything. At any rate, you do hash to view larger parts of the universe, and with the browser miner, your view expands very slowly. One of the extensibility options is to set up a mining server. I actually have one. That is my mining server. Thanks, Bendorf. I borrowed that from my buddy Bendorf. It was our Filecoin miner that I converted into my
don't tell
Dark
Juan.
Forest miner. It's more profitable. And so that the miner, it's built, it's written in Rust, and it's really fast, and so it exposes much more.
Not a Dark Forest person, total community.
So it's written by a community member, and actually somebody who's written a lot of these plugins. So to find out more, you can go to their Discord and look at the plugins channel. While we're waiting for these planets to show up, and the reason this is taking so long to load is because so many people have explored so many planets that have so much metadata that it all needs to load before the game starts.
And my machine has to crunch on it. Basically, the universe exists, but it doesn't exist until you look at it, right? You have to reveal it. There has to be this discovery process. Oh no! Wait, are we good? Are we good? Get out of here, kitty.
You just have to enable pop-ups. You panicked.
Oh yeah, and this is the first. I remember talking to Brian about this. When you use a burner wallet and you just do transactions for people, the psychology there is I don't know what's going on. You have to like present them with this first to be like, yo, we're going to be sending transactions on your behalf, and you can sit here and click approve all you want, or you can kind of just like put that on autopilot, right? I think maybe I messed something up there, though.
You didn't click the button.
Okay, transaction submitted. So that pop-up that you saw that was very MetaMask-like, hopefully... Oh, man, here we go.
This game is worth it. That's all I can tell you.
So, okay, let's dig into that a little bit more too. So we talked about the ZK snarks in relation to this one. We talked about Ronin, yeah. For Axie, we talked about which one was Skyreaver? What were they using? I forgot.
Matic.
Yes, Matic. Jeez. So we got ZK Snarks then in Dark Forest. So this is now another different scaling iteration for blockchain. And this is effectively what we were talking about. This is one of many common threads within these blockchain games, is that it's, for those of you waiting for this live stream to come out in English, all that effectively means it's just another technology used in order to offload transactions from the main chain to make things faster, cheaper, for the gameplay to actually exist. That way you're not paying $150 to take over a planet or to make a single move.